Tonight, America is mourning. We didn't just lose a star, we lost a legend, a piece of history.
The news of Bernard Lafayette Jr.'s passing arrived with a quiet weight. For many, his name may not have always appeared in headlines. But behind some of the most important moments of the American Civil Rights Movement, his steady voice and calm courage helped guide a nation toward justice. Bernard Lafayette Jr. devoted his life to the idea that change could come through nonviolence. He believed that peaceful action could challenge injustice and awaken the conscience of a nation. Through years of struggle, he remained a thoughtful organizer, teacher, and spiritual leader. Born in Tampa, Florida, Lafayette came of age during a time when racial segregation shaped daily life across the American South. As a young man, he witnessed the pain and unfairness that many Black Americans faced. These early experiences helped shape his belief that something had to change. His path toward activism grew stronger when he attended the American Baptist Theological Seminary in Nashville, Tennessee. There he became deeply involved in the Nashville Student Movement. The movement brought together young people determined to challenge segregation through peaceful protest. Under the guidance of leaders who believed in the philosophy of nonviolence, Lafayette quickly became one of the movement's most committed organizers. Sit-ins at lunch counters and public demonstrations became powerful tools. These actions were calm, disciplined, and deeply courageous. Participants knew they might face insults, threats, or violence. Yet they returned again and again, determined to show that dignity and justice could not be denied forever. One fellow activist later recalled the quiet strength Lafayette carried with him. He never raised his voice, the former student leader said in an interview years later. But when Bernard spoke about nonviolence, you could feel the room change. People listened because they knew he truly believed in it. Lafayette's work soon expanded beyond Nashville. As the civil rights movement grew, he became involved in efforts across the South. One of the most important moments came during the struggle for voting rights in Selma, Alabama. The fight for voting rights was dangerous and tense. Many Black citizens were denied the right to vote through intimidation and unfair laws. Activists risked arrest, violence, and worse simply for demanding a voice in democracy. Lafayette helped organize peaceful campaigns that encouraged people to stand together despite fear. He worked closely with local communities, helping them prepare for protests while staying committed to nonviolent discipline. His leadership during the Selma Voting Rights Movement became part of a turning point in American history. The courage of those demonstrations helped draw national attention and led to the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Those who worked beside Lafayette often described him as a calm strategist. He believed that nonviolence was not weakness but a powerful form of strength. Civil rights leaders who knew him remembered that steady spirit. Bernard was one of the quiet architects of the movement, one longtime colleague shared in a public tribute. He helped build the strategy that allowed nonviolence to change the course of history. In the years that followed, Lafayette continued his work as both a minister and educator. Rather than step away from the struggle, he focused on teaching future generations about peace and justice. He worked closely with programs that studied the principles of nonviolent action. Through workshops, lectures, and community projects, he helped pass on the lessons of the civil rights era to students, activists, and leaders around the world. For Lafayette, nonviolence was more than a tactic used during protests. It was a way of life. He believed that understanding, dialogue, and compassion could break cycles of conflict. Friends often described his presence as deeply calming. Even in difficult conversations, he remained patient and thoughtful. A former student who attended one of his workshops later wrote online, "Dr. Lafayette didn't just teach history. He helped us understand our responsibility to shape the future." His words stayed with us long after the class ended. His long career reflected a lifetime of dedication to justice, faith, and human dignity. Though the civil rights movement included many well-known figures, Lafayette's role showed that lasting change is often built by those who work quietly but tirelessly. Across decades, he helped keep the spirit of nonviolence alive. As news of his passing spread, tributes began appearing from historians, civil rights advocates, and former students. Many shared memories of his humility and his belief that ordinary people could help transform society. They remembered a man who did not seek fame. Instead, he focused on the work itself. Bernard Lafayette Jr.'s life reminds us that history is shaped not only by powerful speeches or famous marches, but also by steady leadership behind the scenes. His commitment to peaceful change helped guide one of the most important movements in American history. And the lessons he shared continue to inspire those who believe that justice can be achieved without hatred. Though his voice is now silent, the path he helped build remains. In classrooms, community movements, and conversations about justice, the philosophy he carried forward continues to echo. And in that enduring spirit of courage, patience, and peace, the legacy of Bernard Lafayette Jr. will continue to live on. The news arrived quietly among the docks and fishing towns that line the cold waters of Alaska. Todd Meadows, a young deckhand known to many through the television series Deadliest Catch, had passed away at just 25 years old. For those who worked beside him on the rough waters of the Bering Sea, the loss felt deeply personal. Out on those waters, life moves to the rhythm of wind, waves, and hard work. Fishermen rise before dawn, face bitter cold, and battle some of the most dangerous conditions in commercial fishing. Todd Meadows was one of the young men who chose that life, drawn to both its challenge and its quiet pride. Friends say he carried a steady determination from the very beginning. Todd Meadows worked aboard the fishing vessel Aleutian Lady, a crab boat known for its demanding seasons. The job of a deckhand on a crab boat is not easy. Long hours, heavy gear, and freezing storms are part of the routine. Yet Todd embraced it with the kind of focus that older fishermen often admired. Those who saw him on deck remember a young man who rarely complained. He showed up ready to work every day, one crewmate shared in a tribute posted online. Even when the weather turned rough, Todd stayed calm. That meant a lot to the rest of us. The world first met Todd through the popular reality series Deadliest Catch. The show followed the dangerous journeys of crab fishermen in the Bering Sea. Cameras captured the pressure, the teamwork, and the constant risk that comes with the job. But behind the scenes, Todd was more than a television personality. He was simply a hard-working deckhand trying to prove himself in a tough industry. Fishing crews often become like family. Weeks at sea create strong bonds between those who share the same storms and sleepless nights. Todd quickly became part of that close-knit community. Older crew members noticed his willingness to learn. They saw someone who listened carefully and respected the experience around him. He had a good heart and a strong work ethic, a captain from the fleet later said. In this business, that matters more than anything. The Bering Sea is known as one of the most dangerous fishing grounds in the world. Waves can rise without warning. Ice forms on deck. And every season brings risks that fishermen accept as part of the job. Todd Meadows understood those risks, but he continued to pursue the life he had chosen. For many young fishermen, the work is more than just a paycheck. It becomes a test of strength, patience, and teamwork. Todd approached the challenge with quiet confidence, determined to build a future in the fishing world. Friends say he often spoke about the pride he felt working on the water. On social media, tributes began appearing shortly after the news of his passing spread through the fishing community. Messages came from fellow fishermen, viewers of the show, and people who had simply followed his journey. One message read, "Todd represented the spirit of the Bering Sea. Young, brave, and willing to face whatever the ocean brought." Another tribute came from someone who had worked with him during the crab season. "He was just getting started in life," the message said. "But the time he spent with us made an impression that won't be forgotten." For those who spend their lives at sea, every crew member matters. Each person plays a role in keeping the vessel moving safely through long and dangerous days. Todd's presence on deck brought energy and determination to the team around him. Even during the hardest shifts, he continued pushing forward. The fishing community is known for its resilience. It is a world built on trust between crew members and respect for the unforgiving ocean. When someone is lost, that entire community feels the weight of it. In ports across Alaska and along the Pacific coast, fishermen paused to remember a young man who had shared their demanding life. Some spoke about the first time they saw him working on deck. Others remembered his quiet humor and steady focus. The loss of someone so young carries a particular sadness. At just 25 years old, Todd Meadows had many seasons ahead of him. Many believe he would have continued building a respected career on the water, learning from older captains and eventually guiding younger deckhands himself. But even in a short life, his determination left a lasting mark. Television audiences who watch Deadliest Catch often see the dramatic waves and intense storms. Yet behind those scenes are real people who choose the fishing life every day. Todd Meadows was one of those people. His story reflects the courage of young fishermen who step onto the deck knowing the sea offers both opportunity and danger. A fellow fisherman summed it up simply in a tribute that spread widely online. "The ocean takes strength to face," he wrote. Todd had that strength, and he earned the respect of everyone who worked beside him. Today, the waters of the Bering Sea continue their endless motion, just as they always have. Boats still leave harbor before sunrise. Crews still prepare their gear and head toward uncertain weather. But among those who remember Todd Meadows, there will always be the memory of a young deckhand who faced those waters with courage. His time was brief, but his spirit remains part of the story of the fisherman who braved the cold northern seas. And in that community of hard-working crews and restless tides, Todd Meadows will be remembered not only for the risks he faced, but for the determination and promise he carried with him onto the deck of the Aleutian Lady. The news was confirmed quietly within the film community. Andrew Gunn, a Hollywood producer known for shaping beloved family films, had passed away after a battle with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. His death marked the end of a creative journey that brought laughter, warmth, and imagination to audiences around the world. For many viewers, Andrew Gunn's name may have appeared in the credits at the end of a movie. But behind those rolling titles was a producer who helped bring memorable stories to life. His work helped define an era of family entertainment in the early 2000s. Gunn believed that movies could bring families together. He understood that a good story could make people laugh, reflect, and sometimes even see the world differently. One of his most well-known projects was the popular Disney comedy Freaky Friday. The film told the story of a mother and daughter who suddenly switch bodies and must learn to understand each other's lives. The movie quickly became a favorite among audiences of all ages. Its mix of humor, heart, and family lessons helped it stand out during a time when family films were finding new energy in Hollywood. Gunn's role behind the scenes helped shape that tone, guiding the project from script to screen. He later produced the imaginative superhero film Sky High, another story that blended humor with themes of identity, friendship, and growing up. Set in a school for teenage superheroes, the film became a cult favorite. Younger viewers were drawn to its colorful world, while parents appreciated its message about believing in one's potential. Those who worked with Andrew Gunn often described him as thoughtful and encouraging. He cared deeply about storytelling, but he also cared about the people involved in making each film. Directors and writers remembered his ability to listen closely and offer guidance without overwhelming a project. He had a calm presence on set, one longtime collaborator shared after the news of his passing. Andrew believed that good stories came from teamwork. He trusted the people around him. Before becoming a well-known producer, Gunn spent years learning the craft of filmmaking. He worked closely with experienced producers and studios, slowly building his reputation in Hollywood. Over time, he became known for projects that balanced fun with emotional depth. His films often focused on families, friendships, and the challenges of growing up. These themes allowed audiences to connect with his work in simple but powerful ways. As his career continued, Gunn also explored other projects across film and television. While some movies found major success and others remained smaller efforts, his goal remained the same. He wanted to tell stories that people could watch together. That dedication became even more meaningful in later years when Gunn faced a difficult personal challenge. He was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, a progressive illness that slowly affects the body's ability to move. Despite the challenges of the disease, friends say he remained deeply connected to the creative world he loved. Many admired the strength he showed during this time. One colleague from the film industry wrote in a tribute shared online, "Andrew faced his illness with the same quiet determination he brought to filmmaking. He never lost his love for storytelling." Fans of his work also shared messages remembering the films that shaped their childhood. On social media, one viewer wrote, "Movies like Freaky Friday and Sky High were part of growing up for so many of us. Andrew Gunn helped create moments families still laugh about today." In Hollywood, producers often work behind the camera, guiding projects without appearing on screen. Yet their influence can shape the entire experience of a film. Andrew Gunn understood that role well. He believed the magic of cinema came from collaboration. Writers created the words. Directors shaped the vision. Actors gave life to characters. And producers helped hold the entire process together. Through that work, Gunn became part of a generation of filmmakers who helped define family entertainment for a new audience. His movies brought together humor and heart in ways that felt accessible to children while still meaningful to adults. As news of his passing spread, tributes arrived from across the entertainment industry. Former colleagues remembered his kindness and patience. Many described him as someone who quietly supported creativity and believed in the power of a good story. He cared deeply about making movies that families could enjoy together, one producer said in a public tribute. That kind of focus helped shape an entire generation of family films. Though his life was marked by the challenge of illness in later years, Andrew Gunn's work continues to live on through the films he helped create. Each time a family sits down to watch one of those movies, his influence remains present in the laughter, the heartfelt moments, and the stories that connect people across generations. For many viewers, those films are more than simple entertainment. They are memories shared with parents, siblings, and friends. And in that shared experience, Andrew Gunn's creative spirit continues to reach new audiences. His story reminds us that sometimes the people who shape our favorite films work quietly behind the scenes, building stories that stay with us for years. Though he is now gone, the warmth and imagination he helped bring to family cinema will continue to shine on screens around the world. And in the laughter of families watching together, Andrew Gunn's legacy will always find its way back to the audience he cared about most.